In this notebook, we'll go through the same example we saw in the slides. So let's go ahead and read the data. You can see we have dates in the first column and NO2 content in the second column. So here's a look at the different data types we have in these two variables. So date time, as you can see here, is being read as an object data type. Is that right? It's not. The first and most important step when dealing with the date time column is to convert the data type into date time. By default, as you can see here, it is taken as an object, and that can give us pretty random results. So what we'll do is we'll use the pandas pd.to_datetime function. We have to give the column name and the format as input. Format depends on the structure of your date column. Here we have date, month, year, followed by hour, minute, seconds. So this is how we can do it. So let me just print it out and then look at the data types again. Perfect. Here are a few examples of the different. So let me print the maximum and minimum values of our date time column. We get the minimum to be 10th March 2004, which is the first row of the data set. And you can verify from your end that the max value which you see here is actually the last value in the data set. To do this, use the dataframe.tail function. That's right, dataframe.tail. Now, let's see what are the features we can extract from this column. First, you can extract the hour and minute values by simply using the command column name .dt.r. So let's do that and look at the first 5 values. Here we go. These are the hours. So 18 would be 6 p.m., 7 p.m. and so on. We can also extract the minutes. So let's do that and print it out. It's 0 because it's 6:00 p.m. So you can just go through the entire data set to understand this in more detail. We can also extract which day it is, whether it's Monday, Wednesday or so on. We can do this using the column name .dt.day of week. So here I'll print it out. What do you think 2 and 3 here means? Well, this gives us the number where 0 is for Monday and 6 is for Sunday. If you want to get the name, then we can use weekday_name instead of day of week. So I'll print that out. Here we go. To get the month, we can use the dt.month function. So I'll print this out. Here we go. It's the third month of the year. So we can similarly determine the year using dt.year. That's something that you can do. Additionally, we can also find out if the given date is at the end of the month or the end of the year using the dt.is_month_end. So none of the dates, at least in the first 7 rows, are at the end of the month. You can always try other features yourself. In fact, I strongly recommend taking up this dataset or any other dataset that has a date time feature and experimenting around using what we've learned here or exploring other things that you can do with date time values. That's how you learn new things. Finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all of what we've learned so far together. So we'll create a new data frame called new_df using the pd.dataframe function. Here the first column is the year, which stores the year from the date. We have the month, day, hour, basically what we have just seen. And we also have an additional quarter here. We'll just put all of that together in a new data frame and print it out. Here we go. Here are all the new features that we've just created. How cool is that? Now I'll add all these features right back to our original data frame using the pd.concat function, basically concatenation. And here we have the new data set. Isn't it amazing? We just had date_time and NO2 when we started. And now we have all sorts of very useful variables. Gotta love feature engineering. So far, we've discussed features we can directly create using pandas. Now, there are some additional features we might want to add to the data, like whether the given date is a weekday or a weekend. Since we were able to extract the day of the week, we can check if it's a weekend using this value. This is the code to do this. We've created a new column called is_weekday, and then we've run a for loop to check the value at each row. When the day of the week is 5 or 6, the value is 0. Otherwise, it's 1. 1 meaning weekday, 0 of course meaning weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Again, this is a computationally heavy for loop, so we'll just give it a couple of minutes to run, and then we'll look at the first 5 rows of our new data frame. And here we go. So day of the week 2 as is underscore weekday 1. 1, remember, is that it's a weekday, so clearly this, our for loop has worked out pretty well. These are the first 5 rows. Of course, you can look at the entire data set to verify all the values, but I can assure you our for loop has worked to perfection. We can also determine the difference between 2 dates. For example, I've taken up a new data set, which I'll just read, that has 2 columns, application date and the date of birth of the applicant. So application receipt date here and the applicant birth date. So I'll quickly print out the head of these 2 columns for easier use. Perfect. Using these, we can determine the age of the applicant. First, to do this, we need to convert these variables into the, that's right, date time format. So let me go ahead and run this. Alright. Now here's the difference of the 2 variables. It's 12,902 days. Divide this by 365 and you'll get the year. To do this for each row, I will again use the apply function. This code might look a bit complicated, but is actually very simple and efficient. For each row, .apply returns the difference of the 2 variables. And this value returned by the function is stored in a new variable, which we are calling applicant underscore age. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Perfect. So this is how we can work with a date time variable. So many things we can do with a simple column. Again, as I mentioned earlier, go ahead, experiment with it, and you'll be amazed at the accuracy you get using these simple date time features. Thank you.